It's Friday, December 20th, 2019. Stock market breaking all-time record highs yet again. You know, if you landed here on Earth from another planet, you would think that everything in the United States of America is fine and dandy. But we're not from another planet and we're not naive. And most of us know exactly what's going on. I want to talk a little bit today about some concerning things that I'm following, and something that concerned me, that I witnessed the other day. I was driving in my area and I landed up going out into an unincorporated area in the county. A lot of homes out in this part of Riverside County. And it was early afternoon, probably about 2:30, and I'm driving around and I could not believe the amount of cars parked at these houses when most people should be at work at 2 or 2:30. I don't think I passed a house that didn't have a minimal of two cars parked in the driveway. Many had three, four, five, even six cars parked out in front. And I don't know if they even had cars in the garage. I think many people now, especially in the unincorporated areas here in Riverside, many people are converting garages into sleeping areas. So another reason probably why we're seeing so many cars out in the driveway, because the garages now are being used as sleeping areas. People charging rent or putting family members, relatives, what have you, now in garages. So what it's telling me is that in order for people to make rent, in order for people to make a mortgage payment, they need multiple people or even multiple families living in a house now to make ends meet, to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage. And this is becoming more and more common. When I was in Orange County, looking at the parking situation at a lot of the apartment complexes, when I was in North Orange County, blocks and blocks of vehicles parked on the streets. All the parking areas in all the parking stalls were all taken, and you could not park anywhere near these apartment complexes again, because it's not one or two people living in an apartment. It's multiple, 3, 4, 5, 6 people living in an apartment now. And so I'm seeing more and more of this with housing. And I'd like to know what you think about that. Please comment down below. Are you seeing any of this in your area where there are multiple people living in a single family residence? I was shocked. I can't even imagine how many cars would be parked out in these neighborhoods if I went in the evening time during off work hours. But so it's another sign of the times, but the stock market is at all-time highs while people have 5 cars parked in their driveway. I want to go over an article that I just came across on the Drudge Report this morning. And this is more concern, another bellwether, another canary in the coal mine. Wow, the Dow Jones is at all-time highs today. Over 40% of consumers in some states have delinquent household debt, data indicates. This is on Drudge Report today. Nearly 1/3 of American consumers have delinquent debt. And in some states and counties, the share of people with overdue bills is even higher. Nationwide, 31% of people with credit bureau records had debt in collections last year. The median amount of that debt was $1,639. Now, the article, if you get a chance, check it out. Make sure you're doing your homework and verifying all these articles and these updates. Too many times we trust people, too many people in the media. We just believe everything we hear and we see. So do your own due diligence and research some of this. This is on Drudge Report. The median overdue amount of $1,600 may not sound like a lot of money to some people, but a lot of these areas, Louisiana, Mississippi, the delinquency rates are much higher. And when you look at what people are making in America today, as most of you know, half of working Americans make less than $33,000 a year. In some of these areas, right here in the South, people are making less than $21,000 a year. So could you imagine having $1,600 of debt and making only $21,000 a year? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of, I mean, that's a lot of money, period. But that's a lot of money for somebody that's making 20 grand a year. And that's a big problem. And so again, we're being told that the economy is so healthy, that the consumer is so strong, yet nearly 1/3 of American consumers have delinquent debt. The consumer was so strong. How come they have delinquent debt? And how come the consumer now and households have more debt than ever? Looking at these figures, I mean, that's over 1/3. That's 1 in 3 people in America with delinquent debt. And these are the good times. Imagine how these delinquencies are, how they're going to soar. They're going to soar to the moon once this economy hits its first speed bump. Here's some more bad news. Again, stock market at record highs, but here in the Detroit Free Press, U.S. Steel to reduce operations near Detroit in 2020. Layoffs are coming in April. What a nice Christmas present to the folks over at U.S. Steel. U.S. Steel sending out 1,545 notices to employees. The layoffs will begin around April 1st. I feel terrible for these families. Again, it is a sign of the times. So the media and the government can keep telling us how great things are. U.S. Steel, I mean, people believe the steel industry is doing well. Apparently, it's not doing that well. China is destroying us. It's beating us down in the steel industry. They are the steel giants of the universe. And of course, they play by very unfair rules, yet they're winning. They're winning the steel war across the world as they supply most of the world's steel. Most of the world's steel is coming out of China. America cannot compete. And here's another telltale sign of our steel industry, as over 1,500 people are going to be getting laid off. Let's go to the retail apocalypse. This thing continues to hemorrhage. 9,300 stores have closed so far in 2019. We look at 2018, it was 5,844. So look at this, nearly, what are we looking at? Over 15,000 stores from 2018 to today. We've lost 15,000 brick and mortar stores. And think about what these people in retail are going to do for a job. So I just don't believe these job numbers. I don't believe any of these numbers. We have 15,000 brick and mortar stores that have closed in the last 2 years. We've got thousands upon thousands of people who've lost their jobs in retail, and I'm sure that they've been absorbed into some other areas. But it's just amazing when we look at what's happening to U.S. Steel, when we look at 1/3 of Americans with delinquent debt, and we look at 15,000 stores closing since 2018. Yet, stock market at all-time highs, the economy's booming, the consumer's healthy, and unemployment is at 50-year lows. So if you believe that, that's great. I personally don't believe it. And what I want to know is, what are we going to do with all this vacant commercial real estate, and what kind of effect is all this vacant commercial real estate going to have in your state, in your cities, and your counties? I think it's going to have a huge effect. Nobody's talking about all these commercial vacant buildings popping up all over America. I think anybody who is half awake, who is watching what is happening politically, socially, and economically here in the U.S., has to really ask themselves how much longer this can go on before something very, very big happens. And I truly believe that we are starting to see some serious cracks in the foundation. I believe that 2020 is going to be a very dark, dangerous year for America, socially, politically, economically. I believe we are going to be in the midst of spiritual warfare in 2020, good versus evil, and you need to pick the side that you're on. And you got to make sure that you are preparing every way possible. I read another article by Egan von Greers. To me, a mastermind when it comes to precious metals, gold and silver. And I made a few notes here, and I want to kind of go over it with you. And so we'll switch gears here and talk about preparations, talk about precious metals, talk about what's coming according to Egan von Geers. Since the last financial crisis, global debt has more than doubled from $125 trillion to $260 trillion. And for anybody out there that believes that there's going to be no repercussions from this global debt, you are seriously, really asleep. In 2006, U.S. short-term rates were 5%. Between 2008 and 2015, they were zero. Today, they're 1.5%, but at the same time, almost $13 trillion of global debt stands at negative rates. So the world manufactured $135 trillion of debt with the push of a few buttons at zero cost. This means that more than 2 times annual global GDP has been created at no cost and with no service or goods produced. So just with the click of a couple buttons, money miraculously just appeared out of thin air. Instead, fake money has been printed, which corresponds to 2 years global production, but no one has done a day's work or manufactured a single product. So the money has been created out of thin air. The third collapse will shock the world, and it's going to shock most of your family members, and it's going to shock most of your friends, and it's going to shock most of your churches, because they are not prepared for what is coming. And it's absolutely amazing how blinded people are, or how people just cannot and will not believe the truth when the writing is on the wall. The indicators are flashing bright red. The warning signs are everywhere, yet people continue to want to ignore what is happening right now, right in front of their very eyes, and what is going to happen. In the last 20 years, we've seen the collapse of a tech bubble, the implosion of fake debt, also known as the subprime debt collapse. Central banks skillfully and deceitfully navigated through this. The third time, their luck will run out. They won't fool the world with modern-day money printing wizardry. Buying dips will fail this time because stocks will be heading to the bottom, a 75% to 95% fall in real terms. So there will be people that will buy into these dips, but this thing is going straight down. It's going to go straight to the basement, and people getting in too soon are going to get wiped out. And this is another reason why I believe it's so important to be stacking cash, stacking tangible hard assets like precious metals, gold and silver, and waiting for the fire sales that are coming. You're going to see them in bonds. You're going to see it in the stock market. You're going to see it in real estate, whether that's commercial, housing. There's going to be sales everywhere. You're going to be buying cars dirt cheap, boats dirt cheap, RVs dirt cheap. People are going to be having to sell everything they can just to afford to survive, just to eat. And the people who hold money, especially the real money, gold and silver, these are going to be the people that win. These are the people that prosper. And look, I'm not trying to prosper on somebody's bad luck, but look, I'm making sacrifices right now. I could be in these markets making money, but right now I'm acquiring and stacking cash and assets, waiting for the real sales. I don't believe personally, and I don't give financial advice, but why would I want to be buying into a bubble? Why would I want to buy high? I thought the whole thing was buy low, sell high. Why would anybody be buying into these overvalued assets right now, whether that's the stock market, real estate? I think, as I've said before, you're out of your mind if you're looking at buying real estate right now, especially coming into 2020, an election year, all this uncertainty taking place. If anything, don't do anything until 2021 when the dust is settled and we see what's going on. Things could heat up abruptly and very violently in many ways in 2020, and that could carry over right into 2021. We have no idea what's coming, but we know that something very dangerous is coming, and we don't know how long it's going to last. So be prepared. I would be very cautious and very patient right now. The world will discover that the past 100 years have been an illusion with fake money, fake assets, and fake debt. We are all in for the biggest shock in financial history the world has ever seen. Only the Chinese saw the beginning of the end. If in this article, it refers to the People's Daily in China, a paper. And this is dated 1971, the People's Daily in China, 1971. This is what it says: Nixon's new economic policy cannot extricate the U.S. from financial and economic crisis. They already knew this back in 71. The policy is meant to fleece the American working people and to shift the worsening of the U.S. financial and monetary economic crisis onto other countries. They called it back in 1971. China now has 20,000 tons of gold, and this is very supportive for gold that you own, that I own, that people own throughout the world. It's very supportive for the gold price. It's very negative for the dollar. U.S. supposedly has 8,000 tons. But there has not been a physical audit since the 1950s. How many of you, please comment down below, believe that America has 8,000 or more tons of gold? Or did we get rid of it? Did we lease it out? It says right here, much of this has probably been leased to bullion banks and is now in China. I would probably have to agree with that. I'd be curious though. I want to know what you think. How many tons of gold do you think are in Fort Knox today? What do you think? Is it 2 tons? Is it 8 tons? Is it 20 tons? I would love to know what you think. How many tons of gold are in Fort Knox right now? If China announces a gold-backed yuan supported by 20,000 tons of gold or more, the U.S. will be in pains to prove that they actually hold 8,000 tons of gold. The multi-decade bull run is coming to an end. The coming secular bear market will be both spectacular and frightening, and I'd like to add dangerous. Very few investors are prepared, and when it starts, most will believe that they will be saved by the central bank money printing. And I truly believe that all this money printing, we're watching quantitative easing taking place right now, and you have to ask yourself, again, what is propping up these markets? It's the Fed printing massive amounts of money. QE4, but we can't say QE. $60 billion a month in treasury bill purchases. I mean, just think about the manipulation that is taking place right before your very eyes, and yet people don't want to listen. They don't want to see it. They don't want to believe it. They just want to continue to be in these fake markets, in these bubbles, and these things are going to burst. And these people will be crying. They will be wiped out. They will be destroyed. And then they'll blame it on manipulation and corruption. But they knew about the corruption and the manipulation right now, but they didn't care because they were making money. Fake markets do not last forever. And this one's on borrowed time. The world will soon experience the start of the most dramatic bear market in history. It will experience fake out rallies that will suck investors in before the next leg down. Don't be a sucker. Gold is up 20% in 2019 and nothing else. And gold is up 20% in 2019 and nothing has even happened yet. Gold has made new highs already in most currencies around the world, except for right here in dollars and in francs. In 2020, gold will make new highs in the dollar and in francs. I totally believe that. You know, I don't know about you, but back in the day, a couple years ago, they used to knock gold and silver down hard. They're not able to do that like they used to. Gold is not that far off $1,500. Silver back over $17. They're not able to knock it back down as easily as they did. Remember, gold and silver way up. I think silver's up nearly 20% also, maybe even a little more. But gold is up around 20% right now. Nothing bad has even happened. Wait till bad things come. People are going to be running for gold. They're going to be running for silver. And unfortunately, there's not enough to go around. All it takes is a couple big investors and it's all over. When the big money starts flowing into gold and silver, it's over. And right now is a great opportunity because you don't have to wait in line for it. It's dirt cheap and you can get it. It's available right now. Don't wait until something happens because it's not going to be available. It's like when a hurricane is a day out from your town. There's no food at the grocery store, right? Or the prices for gas and food go through the roof, right? They go crazy because they know these store owners know what's coming, and people will pay the price, right? So there's panic. They have this panic price. You don't want to be buying stuff during a panic. You want to have it in your hands when this happens. Silver will be gold on steroids, but remember, silver is extremely volatile, but the big upswing will be in silver. So make sure you have some silver. There is no excuse. I think silver's $17.20 today, somewhere in that neighborhood. I mean, what excuse do you have that you cannot come up with $17 for an ounce of silver, or $17 a week, and start having a silver fund put away? So there's no excuse. If you're watching this video, you're watching it on an expensive phone, you're watching it on an expensive computer. So somewhere, somehow, you have a couple dollars to buy some hard, tangible assets. So make sure you do that. That is a great thing you could do this weekend. Take a little bit of time and go buy a couple ounces of silver. The worst global depression in history is coming. So would you rather be holding a Starbucks, or would you rather be holding an ounce of silver? So we all have some choices to make right now. We're going to blow our money on coffees and lattes and mochas, or partying on a Friday, Saturday night, or we're going to take it and convert it to hard assets, real money right now. The best insurance, according to Egan von Greers, is this: to buy gold and to buy silver now. The era is coming to an end due to the unlimited money printing and credit expansion, combined with no cost of money, none of which reached normal people. Normal people have just ended up with a massive debt, both public and private, that will never be repaid. 1/3 of Americans delinquent on their debt. Over 7 million Americans severely delinquent on auto loans. So is this the strategy to go into an economic collapse? Delinquent auto debt, delinquent credit cards, massive debts. That's not what you want to do. Right now, you want to pay your debts down. You want to be holding cash. You want to be holding silver. You want to be holding gold. And you want to be very, very patient. This tsunami, this economic tsunami, is coming to America. It will not be stopped. And look, Egan von Greers is a brilliant gentleman. He is one of the most intelligent gold and silver guys on planet Earth, much brighter than myself. And when this guy says you need to be buying gold and silver, I believe you need to be buying gold and silver. His investors, or his buyers, many of them, he's telling need to be. When you talk about diversification, he's like, look, you can hold paper. It's going to be obliterated, or you can now be holding gold and silver. He's not telling his people to be in 10 or 20%. He's telling his people to be all in. And I'm not giving anybody economic advice, but Egan von Greers right now believes it is so dangerous what is coming that there is no other choice but to be holding gold and silver. No paper, nothing, gold and silver. He says if you hold paper, you're going to be holding massive losses. You're going to be holding zero. So he is 100% all in on gold and silver. I believe that you should have some diversification, but I don't give economic advice. But it does make you think, with diversifications, do we have enough gold and silver in our diversification? Is 10% enough? Is 20% enough? I typically believe that's not enough, but I'm going to leave that up to you, and we all have to do individually what we believe is right for our situation, for our environment. But I believe now with these prices and with this tsunami getting closer and closer, I don't think you can have enough gold or enough silver and even enough brass. So I'm going to leave it right there. Have an incredible weekend. Make sure that you give all thanks to God for another day of life and for everything He's blessed you with. And it's a great weekend to go purchase an ounce of silver or an ounce of gold or a half ounce of gold or a quarter ounce of gold or a half ounce of silver. Doing nothing only guarantees failure. Be productive. It's a great weekend to go out and do something. Make sure that you're topping off all your preparations, food, water, security, walking close to God. And again, do not become complacent. We're seeing all-time market highs again. People are jumping for joy. The 401ks, the money markets, everybody, believes that everything is wonderful, but they have no idea what is really happening. That the herd, the sheeple, they are being so misled. But this is your opportunity and my opportunity to make these preparations. So these people can jump up and down all they want for a couple digits on their paper. I really hope that their pensions are going to be there for them, 10 years down the road. I hope that their money markets and 401ks will be there down the road. But hope doesn't cash the check. I truly do believe, and I have to go with what I believe. I believe bad things are coming, and I believe the only thing we can do. Somebody asked me yesterday, well, what are you going to do about it? And I said, well, I'm going to put assets away. I'm going to put cash away. I'm going to make sure I have security. I'm going to make sure I'm walking close to God, and I'm going to make sure I'm very awake and very aware. And right now, I believe that's all you can do. Be very awake, very aware. Be ready for anything that could happen tomorrow. We have very we have a very unbalanced political situation now in America. Many people, including myself, believe that we're going to see a man-made financial collapse purposely take place here in America. We'll see what that transpires. But I believe that we have a situation where we could see some very incredible events unfold here in America. So I'm going to continue to prepare. I'm going to hope and pray that nothing happens. But at the end of the day, I think all of us know better. Something is going to happen. Many things are going to happen here in America, and we all have some very serious choices to make. But in the meantime, don't be complacent. Take the opportunity. Prepare, prepare, prepare.